I am not in a relationship. I have not had a relationship since I started dating. I've only dated.
All right.
I mean, I would be happy if I could find somebody that actually wanted a relationship, but at the end of the day, the men don't want relationships.
Yeah.
They want situationships.
Yep. Situation funds.
Hans, exactly.
Seanydoo. Hello. Welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka Seanydoo. You can call me Sean, Shawnee, Seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that you are here and have a special guest here, Melodye. She is glad that you are here, Melodye Sweetin.
Hey, Sean. Very nice to be with you tonight.
Thank you so much for, coming onto the podcast. But first and foremost, thank you so much for offering your lovely home.
I'm happy to have you here. This is great.
Yeah.
Excited to do this.
Absolutely. This is the first time that I've ever, recorded on the go, like on the road, like a guest interview on the road.
And I love that. I love firsts. That's actually one of my things. So that's extra cool.
Yes. And and I just want to say, again, thank you so much for, actually, this is like one of the first episodes of 2025. So just
very cool. I love that. Fresh start.
Exactly.
Very
exactly. Cool. So really quickly, I just want to thank the audience, thank you all for tuning in, listening to the podcast. Go ahead and subscribe to the patreon.com/Situaseans podcast. And yeah, watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff,
Fun.
Yeah. And this podcast is about dating and relationships. And, so today, we're going to be talking about, dating and dating in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. And there has been a lot of changes in the dating game, right?
You think so?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I hadn't dated for many, many years. And when I started, I felt like I had landed on Mars.
Wow.
That's how different things were.
Wow. I am so excited to dive deeper into that because we are going to get all the tea.
Oh, yes. I'm ready to spill the tea.
And we also have a listener submission too about, dating. There's a whole taboo, I guess, currently going on where it's, we can't talk about sex, especially like after your 50s and stuff like that. Have you been hearing that? Like people like, we can't talk about that. Like
it's ageism.
It really is. It really is.
Just plain and simple. It's so pervasive in our society. People don't even know what it is when it's happening.
Exactly.
So, I mean, a 50-year-old is a young person.
Right.
I mean, a 60-year-old is a young person.
Exactly.
A 70-year-old is a young person. Actually, they say that the 10 years that you're in your 60s is your happiest decade. Your second happiest decade is your 70s.
Wow.
That what I've read.
I like that.
So,
okay. Well, I like
something
those
to look forward to, right?
Exactly. Love that. But yeah, so, we're going to be talking about a lot on today's episode. I'm really excited to jump on in. And, we also got a hinge or unhinged listener submission. So
that's something to look forward to too.
Oh yeah. Did you get a peek at it?
I did. I sure did.
Love that. Well, so now that, we got you on the podcast, we got you here and everything. I want you to tell our listeners about who you are. Give us your bio, who you are, what you do, and where are you currently doing? Yeah, what have you been up to?
Okay, well, I grew up in Chicago, and I started dancing when I was 3 years old. By the time I was 12 years old, I was a very serious dancer, and I was being mentored by the guy that was the former artistic director of the American Ballet Theater. And he obviously was in a position to give me a lot of opportunities. And he mentored me, and he gave me my very first job, which was teaching Head Start kids creative movement when I was 14. In return, I got a scholarship to go to art and music camp, and I performed the lead and theme and variations of Balanchine Ballet. And when I got back to Chicago after camp, I had the opportunity to perform with the American Ballet Theater in the Stuttgart. And then, unfortunately, I tore my ACL.
Oh, no.
When I was 15. So at that time, there was no arthroscopic surgery. There was really nothing to be done. They told me to wait. So I went to college. College took me down a completely different path. I started out in theater, but I was recruited into urban planning, which is kind of out of context. But hey, that led me to Minneapolis, where I had been recruited to work for a new record store chain that was in the likeness of Tower Records. You remember the superstores?
Yeah.
Gigantic stores with 100,000 records and like that. So I moved to Minneapolis, and this was during the peak of the record business in the 80s, and I was there during the whole Prince phenomenon. So, I mean, I grew up at First Avenue in the VIP booth with Prince. So, I mean, but I didn't love Prince. I preferred Lenny Kravitz, but that's another story. But anyway, so the record business, you know, it ran its course. And unfortunately, by the early 90s, it was dying. It was imploding. And I could see it. I could see the writing on the wall. Oh, I forgot to say that when I was in Minneapolis dancing, I met a Russian ballerina who had just immigrated to the United States during Glasnost. And I helped her form a nonprofit organization. We had a school and a production company. We taught the Vaganova syllabus, and we had students that went on to perform with San Francisco Ballet, Boston Ballet, like that. And so I was able to dance again after I had surgery.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I did get back to that. But again, by that time, I was in my 30s. And ballet is really, you know, by the time you're 30, you're pretty washed up.
Oh, no, yeah.
But I mean, I was able to teach, and I did perform, and I was able to get my toes wet again, which was beautiful. But ultimately, I ended up in Minneapolis in the record business. That ended, and then I ended up deciding that what did I want to do with the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And I had been in love with horses my entire life. And I don't know if you're familiar with dressage, but dressage is a horse sport that is like ballet for horses.
What?
So have you ever seen the Lipizaners?
Yes.
Okay, that's dressage.
Oh, okay.
So I found a trainer from Sweden who was a Grand Prix trainer, and he agreed to take me on as an apprentice. And I did a 3-year apprenticeship with him, and I learned how to train horses.
Wow.
So that took me on a whole nother route. That all took me from Minneapolis to North Carolina to Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, all over the East Coast, DC. And that was an unbelievable experience in and of itself. I saw things and got to do things I had would never have imagined I would have ever seen.
Wow.
Or done. So that was very cool. But time passed, and my mom was in Chicago, and she was supposed to come live with me, but she wasn't leaving Chicago. She was a Chicago girl. She'd never lived anywhere. So I came back to Chicago to help her. And since I've been back here, I've been in fashion. So, yeah, I'm currently working at Victoria's Secret.
All right, let's go. Victoria's Secret, please sponsor the show.
Yeah, right, exactly. Come on, bring it. That'd be beautiful. So, I mean, I've had 4 distinct careers.
Mm-hmm.
Ballet, music business, horses, and fashion.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing.
I'm currently also singing in a chorus with some people that I met when I was in high school.
All right.
So we made a recording recently.
What? I'm going to have to get a copy of this.
Got a copy there. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of opportunities. I've made a lot of sacrifices, but I've always felt very strongly about following my passions.
Yeah.
I've never been a person to just sit back and let things happen to me. I'm the kind of person that makes things happen.
There you go. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so important to follow your passions, follow your pursuits, and go after what it is that you want to do. And it's just amazing just hearing that you've been able to kind of just chase your dreams.
Well, I occasionally I meet people say, or not everyone can do that. The fact of the matter is, everyone can do it. It's just up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be easy, but if you want to do it, you make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very intense person.
But you're very driven and motivated.
But at the end of the day, part of the reason that I'm as happy as I am at this point in my life is because I haven't compromised.
Yeah.
And I have followed my passions.
Yeah.
When I compare myself to some of the men that I've dated that have had these careers that were very successful, but they're miserable because they compromised on everything.
Right. Yeah.
For money or status or power, whatever, take your pick. But if you don't follow your passions and you do things for the wrong reason, you don't end up with a good result.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Right.
So whenever I have a guest on the show, the audience, the listeners, the viewers, they always want to know, well, what's the current status of relationship status of the guest? So are you single, in a relationship, marriage? What's going on?
Okay. Let's see. I got divorced in 2007. I did not go on a date until 2022.
Wow.
So 15 years.
Yeah.
Just working on myself. I had been coupled for a lot of my life, and I think I really needed the time to just sort through my shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to love yourself. You can't pour from an empty glass. So for me, after my divorce, I was so traumatized. I knew I couldn't get into anything with anybody. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I still struggle with unresolved trauma. I think we all do.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why I see a therapist. But unresolved trauma is just a hard thing for people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So no dates. 2 years ago, I was at the pool where I live, and there was nobody there, myself and the pool boy. And this guy comes in, and he sits down, and I mean, he starts talking to us, and he pulls out this piece of fruit, and he goes, "Here, you want to have some of this with me?" I'm like, "Whatever." We start talking, and he invites me to dinner. And I was like, what? This is the first time anybody had asked me to go out with them.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And I went out to dinner with him. I couldn't make a thing with him because he was a conservative.
Oh, yeah.
But it did break the ice, and it let me know that I was ready. And I realized that I like the idea of having somebody to do something with.
Right.
Instead of I didn't need to be alone completely anymore. Yeah. So that kind of opened a can of worms, and then I got on the first dating app.
Yes. I must know, which app is it? Which app?
It was
was it like Hinge? Yeah.
It was Hinge, actually. And I met some interesting people. But the problem wasn't them. The problem was me, because my expectations were so skewed. Because I hadn't dated for so many years, I had no idea what had transpired.
Yeah.
And how things had changed, how the architecture of dating had flipped.
Yeah. To say the least.
So, I mean, I went into it thinking I was going to find my soulmate in 5 minutes. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
But I did, like I said, I met some interesting people. I've dated quite a few people. I am not in a relationship. I have not had a relationship since I started dating. I've only dated.
All right. All right.
I mean, I would be happy if I could find somebody that actually wanted a relationship. But at the end of the day, the men don't want relationships.
Yeah.
They want situationships.
Yep. Situations.
Exactly. So one of the first guys that I hooked up with, he and I really hit it off pretty well off the bat. And he was very charming and we had a really good time. We went to Florida together and everything looked like it was going to be really good. And then one night we were talking and he said to me, I'm just trying to figure out a strategy with you. And I'm like, strategy?
Yeah, like what?
What? What does that mean? And then I started putting two and two together and I realized he wanted to have a relationship with me on Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. And then the rest of the week, he wanted to pretend like I wasn't alive.
Oh, wow. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mess. And he kept coming around, though. You know, he kept asking me out. And I did go out with him a couple more times. And then we finally I was supposed to go to his house for dinner one night. And I was on Facebook dating, and he was too, and he liked me that day.
What?
That's a true fact. And so I texted him, I said, I don't think I'm coming over. I'm not feeling the vibe here. And he's like, what do you mean? I said to him, look, I know that we're not exclusive. I don't expect exclusivity. I said, but this just is fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Right.
And my takeaway was it was his way of telling me that it was a no-go, but he wanted to hook up with me.
Right.
But that's all he wanted to do. You know, I mean, it was just stupid and a bad scene.
Yeah.
But anyway, I told him that I saw him for who he told me he was. Those were my exact words. And he texted me back a week later and shot me through the grease. And he said, I think that's just a nice way of you telling me to fuck off.
You think?
I mean, I was just being straight with him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't being ugly. I was just saying, you know, it is what it is. I see you. It's okay.
Right.
I'm not going to see you.
Exactly.
Because I see you.
Exactly.
But I mean, those are the kinds of strange things that men do.
Yeah.
But he had so much unresolved trauma. And he watched porn and he had ED. And when men do those two things, when those two things are factors, it affects every element of their existence. Because I feel like they feel diminished.
Yeah.
Whether you make them feel that way or not, just by themselves, they feel that way. And I feel that if they watch a lot of porn, then they get to a point where they can't even be with a woman. And then it's a downward spiral.
It desensitizes them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then they get more miserable and then they get more aggressive and it's just, you can't win.
Right.
And so after dating a lot of men my age that all had these kinds of issues, I started dating younger men.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, they have different issues, but I prefer them. I mean, yeah, they might have little kids or what have you, but they don't have, most of them don't have ED. I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them don't have ED. And I mean, the guys that I've met, they haven't really they don't present like the type of men that are consuming so much porn because they're still able to, you know, do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, porn in our society is having a big impact on our dating.
Oh, yeah. 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 It's like, you know, it's everywhere. You know, you got the OnlyFans stars.
Oh, yeah.
It's sex is everywhere.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Recently on Threads, they had a thread or a hashtag, women supporting women. And it was supposed to be for women.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened?
Men.
Within 1 month, I had 7,000 male followers from the women supporting women. And then they migrated to my Instagram and then they started DMing me. I closed my Threads account.
Oh, no.
But I mean, this is like you said, sex is everywhere. I mean, you're on Threads trying to connect with women and you end up with 7,000 male followers because these men don't know where to go.
Exactly.
And part of it is because our society is so polarized, not just left versus right, but men versus women.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's getting worse instead of better. And I feel, unfortunately, now with the current politics in place, it's going to get worse still.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with
Your Body, My Choice.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I was about to say, what's that guy with Nick Fuentes?
Oh my God. How can that even be?
It is just so fucked up that, you know, men just feel comfortable, like, well, some conservative men feel comfortable saying that. And it's just like, what the fuck? And so I've kind of come to the spot where it's like, if I encounter a guy that says that while I'm out, it's going to be my fist, his face.
I love that. Give me some. That's beautiful. We need men we need allies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have nothing against men. I feel bad for the men that I've met that have all these problems.
Yeah.
Just don't be mean to me.
Right.
When I first start dating someone, I just say to them, look, can we just be nice to each other?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to love me. Let's just be nice.
Right.
But some men can't even be nice. Mm-hmm. They've got so much unresolved trauma and projection and ego. And I mean, it's intense.
Oh yeah. The male ego is like off the walls. Yeah. And I think one of the intricacies about, as far as like the discrepancies when it comes to, dating and why it's just so fucked these days. One of the things that I've come to notice too is, of course, a lot of men are kind of wired where it's like they need to have a physical connection first. And a lot of women, want or prefer to have an emotional connection first. And so you have these two contrasting, preferences trying to make things work.
100%. And I mean, I'm willing to compromise with the right individual, but it always backfires.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't win. If you have sex on the first date, it backfires. If you withhold, it backfires. Yeah. There's no formula.
Exactly.
I mean, there's just no given formula that you can count on, so it's punt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go in and you're like, oh, I don't know what to expect here. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
And
how would you say the dating market is as far as dating in Chicago or even just versus the other states that you've lived in? Like what's the most, yeah. What's your thoughts about it?
There are a million men here to date.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be obnoxious, but I mean, I could go out with a different man 3 times a day if I wanted to. There are that many men.
Yeah.
You just have to sort through them all, and that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a job. And right now, I'm not on any dating apps. I mean, I'm loosely seeing a couple people, but I'm not on any apps, and I don't want to be on any apps right now because I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
For a long time, I thought I wanted a relationship. And now I'm starting to think maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Which I know is kind of illogical, but I mean, it's so complicated and I have never had a really successful relationship. So maybe I should be informed by that.
Oh, I'm sure the Mr. Right will definitely come along soon. It's hard trying to date as someone who's trying to date like myself. I get it. Yeah, as far as like the dating apps too, I think it's a little bit even more difficult because there's a lot more people on the apps these days too.
Well, and there's the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So people keep they never want to commit because they've just got a continual
Rolodex is like
exactly just keep going through. And I mean, if you do that, you'll never settle on anything.
Yeah. And one of my good friends, actually this has happened a couple times in like my group of friends, but I've kind of heard just different stories from different friends, but the consensus is, well, example, one of my friends, she seemed like this guy who's like really good and everything, but her ick, I guess, is he chews with his mouth open. So she's like, she really hates it, which is fine. I get it. But she's like, but there are so many other guys that are in my queue that I could just, swipe on and go and date. And that's probably one of the hardest things about just, dating is just that. And I'm like, yeah, I get you. And then one of my guy friends is just kind of somewhat similar. It's like, oh, the girl that he's with, like they like each other and everything, but she doesn't like to travel as much as he does. And on her
such small details.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, chewing with your mouth open.
Yeah.
I mean,
that could be fixed,
Yeah. And if you vibe with the person, that's a small detail. The vibe has got to be there. If it is, small things shouldn't destroy what you've got.
Right. I think it's come to a point in dating where we're starting to nitpick the very smallest things that can easily be fixed by just talking and communicating.
Right. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a great communicator. So that probably doesn't serve me well for, I'm a good communicator. I was just just at a good communication in relationships. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time because of all of my trauma from all of my previous relationships. I have two MOs. I'm black and white. I either withdraw or I come at you so fucking hard, I'm going to scare the shit out of you. There's no gray area. So I got to fix that. That's what I'm working at.
Yep. Right? Yeah. Hey, at least you're working on yourself, right?
No, I mean, I realize that we all have work to do.
Absolutely. Anybody who says that they're done with their journey, they've done all the work, like, no.
They're crazy.
Exactly. The work is never done.
No, it sure as hell isn't. No, I mean, I've done more work in the last 2 years than I did my whole life up until now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm making progress, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, Herbal Face Food, the most potent anti-aging multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off. All right. herbalfacefood.com. Okay. Y'all got the hookup. So let them know that Situaseans podcast sent you. All right. And even just, dating in general, like, let's kind of like bring it over to like the performance side of the house. So have you ever dated anybody in the performance art industry, anything around that?
Like I said, that's a brilliant question that I hadn't really even considered until you posed it. And yes, actually, the first band that I fell in love with was in the original production of Grease at Kingston Mines.
What? Wow. This is history right here.
Yeah. He played the guitar in the band it was the preface to going to Broadway.
Yeah.
It was developed at Kingston Mines.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause this was the 70s, right?
71.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I fell in love with him. Yes. That didn't work out. He was a Taurus. It should have worked.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Come on.
I know. Right. And then the last guy that I fell in love with he was in dressage. And although dressage is a horse sport, it's a sport, but it's an art.
Mm-hmm.
So I always approached it more as an art than as a sport. So yeah, I fell in love with a guy in that too. And that didn't work either. So be informed. Stay away from other artists.
Exactly. So I'm going to say you probably would not recommend, at least in your...
Although I did just recently date one, and that turned out to be really strange. Because when I first met him, we vibed so hard. I really thought he dug me.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was intense for a minute. And then about a month passed, and I'm starting to get to know him a little bit. And I'm not going to lie. We women do some detective work about men that we're seeing.
Yeah, you have
So
to.
you got to go on their social profiles and you got to look at shit that they're doing to see what they're up to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I looked at this guy's Instagram and I looked at his threads and I looked at who he's following and who was following him. And lo and behold, I found that he was following a page called Rich Women Looking for Men.
Ah.
True. story. You can't make this shit up.
Wow. Unhinged.
Unhinged, right? I mean, I didn't confront him about it because I just thought this guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was coming over. We were supposed to make a vegan meal on a Sunday afternoon, and I just said, "Don't come."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're not even into me." I said, "I'm not what you're looking for." That's all. I just left it at that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know if he thought I was a rich woman and he was going to hook up with me and I was going to give him money. I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, so I think he's the first con artist that I've come across in the 2 years that I've dated.
Oh, wow.
So I do feel like I was, what do they call that? When people don't portray themselves honestly.
Oh, it's kind of like a catfish or whatever?
Catfish.
Yeah.
I think I got catfished. One guy,
So-
this picture on his profile, he didn't look anything like it.
Oh, yeah, that's a catfish.
Yeah. I mean, he was a nice guy and we had a good time for a minute, but he was not honest.
Oh, no.
So, but not everybody. I mean, I've had a lot of men say to me when they meet me, "Oh, you look just like your profile." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't I?"
Exactly.
Truth in advertising.
Right.
Who wants to go into a first date having somebody see a picture of you from 25 years ago? It's a bad start, right?
Exactly. Speaking of which, there was a story that got around on like Reddit and Twitter. There was this guy on Tinder. Long story short, guy on Tinder, his profile picture was like him with the Twin Towers behind him. And whatever. And so mind you,
That's ancient history.
exactly. Tinder didn't even come out until like the mid 2010s or whatever.
Wow.
And so the guy had said, "Oh, I'm only 26 or whatever." And so this photo was taken.
He was an adult already.
Exactly. So dude was like pushing 30, like you know, in like 25 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
Trying to advertise himself as still young or whatever. But yeah, that was crazy.
That is crazy, but I'm not surprised. Tinder is an interesting place.
Oh yes.
Oh, yes. I've met some interesting people on Tinder.
Oh yeah. Tinder is Tinder is a whirlwind to say the least. I've had a couple of dates on Tinder in the past. Most of them have been, you know, like just regular cool dates, but there are a couple who was like, "Oh my goodness, like this person is a little bit wild." I don't think I've ever told anybody this, so this is like me being vulnerable with everybody a lot, like, as I usually am on the podcast.
I love that. It's beautiful.
So one time I went on a date with somebody that I met on Tinder, and the conversation was going really great. We meet up in person, and again, I think we got drinks or something like that, and so in Wrigleyville. So we're having a good time and everything, and then afterwards, she's like, "This is kind of like where the first red flag came up." She was like, "Well, you know, I want you to come back to my place." Barely, like, mind you, we're like still talking on the date or whatever about 30 minutes in. So we're not like, you know what I mean? Still getting to know each other. She's like, I want you to really come back to my place. I'm like, well, let's continue to get to know each other, like, you know, know each other, whatever. Cause I want to learn more about you, especially as, you know, we just met.
Right. Hello. Can we meet?
Exactly. Cause in my younger years, I definitely would have been like,
let's go.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, that's normal, right?
Exactly. Cause I know so many guys that would have been like that. But then the next red flag came up where, like, at the end of the day, she was like, you know, so I hope you don't mind, but I like to do some weird things in bed. I'm like,
on your first date, she's a truth teller.
Exactly. Like, I love her being with the truth, you know. And it gets even weirder and darker. But she was like, "I'm really into cutting, and I would want to like kind of slit, you know, maybe like your arm, or and I want to drink your blood, and I want to masturbate to it." And so,
oh wow, okay, that's a stranger date than I've had.
that's probably the wildest date that I've ever had. And I just said, "I'm so sorry. I got to get up for work tomorrow. You know, but I hope you have a great rest of your night." And then I just blocked the number, like I'm matched on Tinder or whatever.
Holy cow. That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to tell this story, but yes, that's the wildest date that I've ever been on.
Well, that's pretty wild. That'd be hard to top. Cutting and masturbating. Okay, well, they go together, right? Bread and butter.
So odd, so odd.
Wow.
And I was going to ask too, if you had like, any wild dating stories. You've definitely shared a few so far, but if there's any.
I've got one that I can top all of them with.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I was dating a guy that was a former Mr. Illinois bodybuilder. Oh, okay. That's a giant. As a Victorian. I go to the gym. The guys at the gym all want me. What can I say?
I mean, like, look at your figure. Like, if you're watching on YouTube and Spotify, like, look at Melodye's figure. Like, come on.
Well, I don't know about all of that. But anyway, he came over. I invited him over for dinner after we had gone out many times, because I don't invite men over until I know them. And he came over, and I have a pair of slides over there that I got from Michael Kors that are bejeweled. They're covered with big rhinestones.
Yeah.
They're very cool, and they sit right in my kitchen. He walked in the door, and he saw them, and he walked up to them, and he put them on. And I was like, okay. I didn't really think too much of it, because they're cool.
Very comfortable.
They're cool. I mean, I could see a person just thinking, I want to put them on, just see what it feels like. Whatever. We had a nice evening. We had dinner, whatever. He took 100 milligrams of Viagra.
Oh my Lanza, this guy.
Wait.
His heart rate alone probably would have
Then he asked me if he could sleep in my underpants.
Oh.
Wait, it gets worse. And then he overdosed on the Viagra, because a normal dose is 25 milligrams.
Right, yeah.
He got GERD, and he was like, oh, I'm getting GERD. And then the next thing I know, he's in my bathroom throwing up.
Oh, my God.
And then he had diarrhea. And he left this all over my bathroom, my whole bedroom area.
Oh, my goodness.
And then he sat on my couch over there like a little darling.
Oh.
Recuperating so that he could feel well enough to go home. He didn't even apologize to me. The next morning, he reaches out to me like nothing happened. I mean, I'm thinking, holy shit, if I had done that in somebody's house, number one, I would have cleaned it up.
Right.
Number two, I would have apologized profusely. I would have sent flowers. I would have sent chocolates.
Right. Even a Venmo for the cleaning bill.
I mean, God, it took me a day to clean up after him.
Wow.
What was he thinking?
Yeah. That is wild.
So, I mean, I don't understand how it all fit together.
What dating app did you meet this guy on?
That was Facebook.
Oh, Facebook dating.
But
stay away from Facebook dating, y'all.
Actually, I've met some pretty decent people on. I've met better people on Facebook dating than I met on Match or eHarmony's horrible. Don't ever go there. Hinge is okay. Tinder, forget it. Facebook's not bad. You have to really sort through the people.
Yeah.
I mean, the minute you go on, you get 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
And you just got to go through them. But you do find people. I mean, I'm seeing people right now that's where I met them.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm not on right now, but the people that I'm seeing right now, I met through Facebook.
All right. Okay.
So check it out. I mean, it might be worth a while.
Facebook's dating. Sponsor the show. It's free, right?
Exactly. Right.
Love that. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review, because I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how, this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. Yeah, so you are a professionally trained dancer, ballet dancer. You have traveled literally the world and racked up so many different accolades, worked with so many different, people. I want to know, tell us all the awards that you've gotten, all the places, that you performed, as far as your favorite places, and Yeah, I want to know about your passion and kind of like what led you into all of that.
Well, I mean, as far as the dance goes, when you start dancing when you're 3 and you just fall in love with it, it was my first love was dance.
Yeah.
And it's all encompassing. You know, when you start doing it, if you want to be good at it, you have to do it a lot. And I was lucky that I lived in Chicago because there were a lot of good instructors here. I mean, having the opportunity to dance with people from the artistic director from the American Ballet Theater is insane. I mean, and because he had that experience, that's what allowed me every time ABT would come to town, I would get to work with them. And I mean, they'd come for back in the day when there was still a National Endowment for the Arts, the big ballet companies would tour all the time and they'd bring big ballets and they would come and do Swan Lake for 2 weeks. So I would do Swan Lake every night for 2 weeks when they would come. Wow. And I got to be on stage with some of the most fantastic dancers. And then the Russian woman that I ended up meeting in Minneapolis, she was on tour with the Bolshoi when Baryshnikov defected. So I'm one degree of separation from Baryshnikov. I never got to be on stage with him, unfortunately. But I did get to dance with Lorena for many years, so that was something. But when I was in Chicago, I did a lot of musical theater, and I obviously did the ballet, and I had the lead role in the Chicago Public School all-city production of West Side Story when I was 18. That was pretty cool. And I did West Side Story several times. I did a lot of musical theater, Gilbert and Sullivan. I mean, I sang a lot. I danced a lot. I was never really a good actor. But I did start college as a major in acting, but I just didn't pursue it because I wanted to dance. That's all I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I also performed with the Lyric Opera. That was very cool. And then in Minneapolis, when I worked with Lorena, we had our own company. So we produced our own ballets. So we did we weren't in a position to do full ballets, but we would do excerpts from all the big ballets. So we did Swan Lake, Giselle, Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty, all of them. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing that we were able to do that, but that was in a different time, you know, because there was money for the arts and we had a nonprofit status and we were able to solicit donations and get people to give us money to produce the stuff. And people believed in the arts and were still very interested in seeing them, you know, get better. Now we're in a different place.
Yeah.
We don't have the NEA anymore. And the ballet companies are really, they're struggling.
Wow.
And especially since COVID.
Yeah.
You know, everybody lost so much ground during COVID. But anyway, I mean, so I got to dance with Cynthia Gregory and Fernando Bujones and Natalia Makarova. And
wow, all the greats. And these are people that even I've heard. I'm like, what?
I know.
And I'm like the furthest removed from ballet. So
I was on stage with Nureyev, actually.
Oh, what was that like?
He was not a very nice person. He wasn't.
I would never even imagine.
I was at the Auditorium Theater and he wasn't performing that night. And I went to see the ballet and he was on the stairs in front of me. And Maria Tulchief, who's a ballerina from the New York City Ballet, was with him. And for whatever reason, he turned around and he slapped her across the face.
What? What?
So I saw that happen and I was surprised. But I mean, he was a woman hater. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was he was one of the greats.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so are you still an instructor to this day, right? And then you teach ballet courses?
Actually, what I'm in the process of doing right now is I'm trying to develop a complete program called Inclusive Ballet.
Okay.
So it's not just ballet for people that want to be ballet dancers. It's ballet for everyone.
Ooh.
So senior citizens, housewives, people that have never danced in their lives.
Podcasters.
Exactly. I mean, it's meant to be for everybody. I could have father-daughter dance together. I mean, there's so many so many things that can be done. And the other thing that I've just recently glommed onto that I want to include in this whole thing too is there's this guy that's a neuroscientist that's just written a book about how dance changes your brain.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to start on Instagram. I'm going to start dancing.
Wow.
And posting dancing.
You should. I would love to.
And
see
I'm going to try to get people interested in what I have to sell from there and try to get. The problem is finding the venue. I had started working at the Y because I thought that I would be able to do it there and it would have been a good venue for it. But they're in such bad shape that I ended up leaving.
Oh.
So now I'm kind of in a position where I'm trying to decide whether I want to go through the process of getting the certification so that I could teach it at someplace like Lifetime or LA Fitness, or if I just want to do it independently. But then I have to find a studio and then I have to, find all my own students. If I teach it at a gym, I have a built-in clientele.
Right.
So anyway, this is what I'm working on right now.
This is exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I think there's a big demand for it. I mean, I know that before I left the Y, the moms that I talked to about the creative movement for the little kids, they were all into it. And the moms all wanted to dance too. I mean, music and movement helps everybody.
It does.
So it's a beautiful thing.
It really is.
And it enriches everybody, and it does change your mind.
Absolutely. Performance, like the arts, it's so important, super important. And I think a lot of people forget that.
Well, because unfortunately we're in a place now, it didn't used to be like this. People used to, when I was your age, on television on Sunday night, we had a show called Great Performances, and it would be the Metropolitan Opera, the New York City Ballet, or Dance Theater of Harlem. Somebody, every Sunday night, you could see that on TV.
Wow.
Beautiful productions. Yeah, every week. And now, I mean, I meet people that don't know anything about dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I don't want to see it go away. I want to see it continue. And I think that we need to do it from a grassroots level.
Absolutely. There you go. And even just with, the life that you lived and everything and how you've overcome so many adversities, I wanted you'd tell our listeners more about how you overcame the obstacle of, you tore your ACL.
Yeah, I did. That was rough. I mean, that was very hard for me to overcome. That was a trauma that affected me for many, many, many years.
Yeah. I can imagine it's just earth shattering because it's you have this career path lined up that you want to pursue. And then right at when things are
ready to go.
Yeah. You're about to move to New York. Yeah. This happens. Wow.
Yeah. It changed my life. Yeah. Definitely. But I mean, I do believe that the universe does things like redirect us. And I think that maybe if I had gone to New York as a young woman alone, I might have gotten myself into trouble. Because I was pretty wild. So the universe, that might have just been the universe's way of redirecting me.
Yeah.
Because it might have just been too much for me.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like to believe sometimes that things happen for a reason, for sure.
Well, it's easier for me to handle if I think of it that way.
Absolutely.
Because I was an excellent dancer. I had a lot of ability and I should have been able to do what I wanted to do. But people get injured all the time in ballet.
Yeah.
It's not that unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you were able to, still adjust and still pursue, your dreams and still do the things that made you happiest. Because I think that's what's most important.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went through a period when I first got to college where I was pretty scattered. My freshman year, I was a 4.0. My second year, I started dropping classes.
Oh, no.
Well, I was just not motivated.
It's a lot, yeah.
It wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't where I wanted to be. I was at a party school. So, I mean, ultimately, I had to transfer because I had to get out of that environment. So that was a good thing that I did that. And that transferring to the University of Iowa is what ended up landing me the job in Minneapolis in the record business. Because if I hadn't gone to Iowa, I wouldn't have met the woman that recruited me.
Right.
So, I mean, everything kind of happens for a reason. And then I met Lorena, the woman from the Soviet Union. And so things worked out in the long run.
Yeah.
But in the moment, they were kind of dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my point is when that's all happening, you have to try to take a big picture. But when you're young, it's hard to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, when you get to be my age, you have a different perspective of everything. But when you're young, everything is important, because you're making important decisions about what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Situaseans podcast is an open platform covering dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. If you are looking to advertise your brand or product, or would like to sponsor the show, send an email to situationspod@gmail.com. That's situaseanspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, so upon meeting you, thanks again for coming to see me in Rent.
You are fantastic. I got so much from it. It really touched me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Really,
you were fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And I enjoy your podcast too. You're dynamite on camera.
Aw, you're making me melt.
So I'm just telling the truth.
You are a godsend, Melody.
I'm just saying the truth.
Thank you. And for the Situaseans podcast listeners in the grand Situaseans cinematic universe, Melody is best friends with Alyssa. So Alyssa Taylor.
That's right. Alyssa's who introduced us. So yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a small world.
It is. I love it. And I love that.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I really appreciate your your lovely, beautiful smile, your great energy and your aura that you have about you. And it's really inspiring. And I just want to know, what is your secret to that? And can you kind of share with our listeners how you find that happiness, how you're able to kind of, gracefully dance through life, and still keep positive energy about you?
Well, you have to really invest in yourself. You have to do the work and love yourself. When you are finally in a place where you're doing that, then you have something to share with the world. And so I've done a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 15 years of real hard work between my divorce and just a couple of years ago. And I'm still doing the hard work. But you have to do that. You have to love yourself because you cannot pour from an empty glass.
Facts.
So if you want to do something, you got to get your shit together. That's just all there is to it. You got to start with yourself.
Yeah.
You can't expect anybody else to do it for you. And the other thing is, I'm very empathetic, and I feel that when you approach people trying to understand them, you get a different reaction. And so I've tried to approach my life, and this sounds so trite, but I've always used the golden rule. I try to treat everybody every day the way I want to be treated.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. Life is complicated, but if you just take care of yourself and take care of other people, things come together.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I know the listeners are appreciate that, because sometimes we do forget that, hey, we do have to be kinder to ourselves. We do got to put the work in on ourselves, and we do have to love ourselves, because if we can't love ourselves, how are we going to expect somebody else to do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fact of life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that golden nugget of knowledge.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could share it. It's a funny thing, like you said, it seems so simple, but we do lose sight of it.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Life is so much going on all the time. It's hard. It's easy to lose sight of.
Yes. All right. So we have a listener submission. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go ahead.
Hit me with your best shot.
Hit me with your best shot.
That's right. She was a great dancer.
Yeah?
Yeah, Pat Benatar. She started out as a dancer, actually.
I did not know that.
Now you do.
All right.
Not all facts are true, but that one is.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Now I have even more energy as we dance into this listener submission.
All right. Oh boy. Let's see what you got here. This ought to be good.
So this listener submission is, so a woman submitted this, anonymous woman. Thank you so much for submitting that. First and foremost, if you want to submit a, story or anything that you're going through, submit it to situationspodcast.com/submit, and we'll read it out loud here on the show. So, this one is talking about, the taboos of, talking about sex, especially in your, 50s and all this stuff. So it's like, come on, like, let's be open and transparent. Like, sex is not gross after a certain age.
All right.
So this listener submission says, older adults need a safe space to talk about relationships and sex. Our society makes it seem as though once you hit a certain age, you're dead below the belt and don't still require love and affection and even sex. Working with older adults, this comes up frequently, even patients living in nursing homes and those with dementia. I've been asked for space and time for couples to be intimate while in nursing homes, and even have seen where those living with dementia have a higher sex drive than adults my age. So why isn't this being addressed? Why is it taboo? Is it uncomfortable for some? Sure, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be talked about. Wholeheartedly agree. Thank you for submitting that. What are your thoughts?
Good point. Ageism.
Yep.
Plain and simple, ageism. It's pervasive. It's every day of my life I deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, people look through you. You become invisible at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless you've got such a vibe, people are going to ignore you.
Right.
It's our society.
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
And we need to change this.
Absolutely.
I'm an advocate for healthy aging. That's part of my Instagram message is wellness and fitness. And, we can't underestimate the fact that the aging population is increasing and people are in better shape.
Right.
So people are living longer and in better condition. And so, of course, they're going to have a sex drive. And of course, they're going to need love and affection and sex. And they're not any different than a 30-year-old.
Exactly. Yeah.
They just are packaged differently.
There you go.
The hard thing that people don't understand is when you're someone my age, I still feel like I'm 20 years old. I mean, it's strange being the same age as people that are old.
Because you have such a youth about you.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's an issue. But I mean, so we need to bring everybody along.
Yes, I agree.
We need to forget about leaving everybody behind. We just need to bring them along.
Yeah. And I think it starts too with Hollywood, because you see how
ageism
is there, especially among we don't want to cast, example, like Meryl Streep as like the hot interest or whatever, love interest or whatever. She's a certain age or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's a whole nother topic is older actresses getting parts, because ageism is everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the Bond movies or whatever, you have James Bond who's like
with the 12-year-old girls.
Exactly. Like someone so like 40 years his youth is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay if, it's that way, but the other way, it's not okay.
Exactly. Right. It's exactly. And then you have even celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio dating women in like 20s. So like, sorry, if you're 26, you're too old. 25 to 21 is like the sweet spot.
Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand.
Love your work, Leo, but come on, man.
Work with us here. Come on, get real. Get real.
Yeah. And like I know like even just my own preference, I really don't have like a preference as far as like, ethnicity, race, age. I just date for vibe.
Me too. 100%. So, but not everybody's like that.
Exactly.
I mean,
like my only hard rule is like, as long as you're old enough to drink.
I love that. Well, you know what they say the formula is supposed to be? Take your age, divide by 2, and add 7.
I've heard that before.
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, that's the formula. I don't follow it, but hey. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but you are quite the catch. So I know that, you know, whoever you are dating they're extremely lucky to have you in their life. So.
You're so sweet. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I really do. That's a very nice thing to say.
Yeah, for sure. And I just wish that like more people out there were just comfortable with talking about sex.
It doesn't have to be so taboo.
Yeah.
It's a fact of life.
Exactly. And, you know, with this new administration that we're dealing with, they're trying to push that right back down. And then, you know, they're trying to get rid of, you know, even more of women's rights. They're already unturned, you know, like the Roe v. Wade. Like, what else are they going to do? Like, is interracial marriage going to be illegal again?
Well, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised the way things are going.
Exactly. Like, we are just literally
going backwards really quickly. Yes, we are.
So, and I think it's up to people like us on public platforms like this to talk about, you know, hey, like talk about those uncomfortable conversations.
I agree.
Talk about, hey, you know what, ageism, sexism, racism,
right. It's all important stuff and it needs to be addressed and people need to not think that they can't talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I do hope that the people, especially the people in the nursing home that this person had mentioned, that like they're living their life, they're living like their golden years, as some may say. I hope that they're enjoying like themselves and just doing whatever makes them happy. You know,
they need to live their best lives. Exactly. Absolutely, no two ways about that.
Yeah. I definitely think that this listener submission was a really good one.
I agree.
Because I think, again, just going back to the whole having those uncomfortable conversations, gotta have them.
Yep, absolutely. At the end of the day, there's no alternative.
Yeah. Yep.
If you don't say it, you can't expect someone to know it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Mind reading is not really a fact.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to communicate it.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's another thing you got to really work on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to the listener that submitted this, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I want to have I would like a follow up. If the people that you work with at this retirement home or this facility, if there's any other stories that you like to share that they would be willing to share, or if they want to bring them on.
Developments, right?
Exactly.
See what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's great that you made the suggestion that they have a place that they could be alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Good job.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we have a hilarious listener submission from Hinge. It's an unhinged submission. Are you ready for this, Melody?
I'm ready.
All right, let's jump on into this Hinge or unhinged submission.
Oh boy.
All right, so this one, hilarious. Again, I just want to say, whoever submitted this, thank you. So this is going to perfectly tie in with the episode about ageism.
It sure does.
Especially the descriptor. So this listener submission says, this prompt says, weirdest gift I have given or received. I got granny panties for Christmas, which I proceeded to accidentally set on fire because I was sitting too close to a candle. So, Melody, I got to know, is this Hinge green flag or unhinged red flag?
That's unhinged red flag. Who gets granny panties as a gift? For starters.
Exactly.
And second of all, if you get them, why would you wear them?
Right. Exactly. What really threw me through the loop is the fact that this person was just sitting so close to a candle to begin. It's why was the candle on a table somewhere safe?
Right. There might have been more details that they didn't include.
Exactly. I need a lot more context.
Right.
This is giving person who leaves their candles burning while they're outside of their apartment. Whether
something like that.
Exactly. Because if a candle is on the floor,
that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would understand if this is next to a fireplace. Okay, I get it. You sat too close by accident. I get it. You shouldn't have been sitting too close, but it's a candle. Maybe they were like on a couch, maybe, and the candle was like on an end table. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, that's a strange thing to put on Hinge, though.
Exactly.
As a prompt, and that's what you put. I can't imagine.
Right? Exactly.
I don't think that would attract anybody.
Exactly. And maybe, and I'm going to assume, so the person that submitted this, they didn't tell me whether or not, anonymous guy or anonymous girl. I'm going to assume this is a woman, anonymous woman, because she mentions granny panties, but we don't discriminate here. Men can also wear
granny panties.
Exactly. You do you.
Like my purple panties.
There you go. See? There's only people with the Situaseans color. Right.
I love it. It's all a big tie-in.
Exactly. All ties.
Smooth. Give me some.
Yes.
I love it.
But yeah, this is a funny one. And then also unhinged on the gift giver's part. Who's just out here just gifting granny panties?
I can't even imagine. I can't go there.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to date that person.
Right. I will say that this does make for an easier prompt to respond to on Hinge. Even though it's red flag, I couldn't help. I say, if this was me, let's say if I'm swiping on the girl's profile and I see this, I would immediately be like, oh my goodness, what's the story behind this? This is funny.
Well, so yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
But yeah, I don't know if I would.
Would depend on what the pictures look like.
That's yes, that's.
So there's that.
Exactly. And then I have to ask her, you're not into like cutting yourself and like, blood worship or anything like that. Exactly. Of course, we're being sensitive to the people with, mental health. That's a whole other topic.
Right.
We love you.
Of course.
Like definitely get help. But from the
dating scene.
That's side of it.
Yeah, that's not what you want on a first date.
Exactly.
Maybe not on a second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth or seven, 8, 9, 10 low drugs like that, right?
Right.
That's a little too much information.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely still agree though. This is unhinged as fuck.
Oh my God. 100%.
Unbefuck hinged.
Uh-huh.
This one was so funny. Thank you so much for submitting that.
Yeah, that's good. That's beautiful. I'm going to have to keep my eyes open for some good ones for you.
Yes, please do. Yes, let me know.
Although I'm not swiping right now, so I'm, not really in the game. So, but when I get back in the game, I'll get you something.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, I just want to say, Melodye, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And
thanks for having me.
Your beautiful, beautiful home.
Thank you for having me. This has been a blast.
Yeah.
You're dynamite.
Thank you. Likewise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Likewise. And are there any last words of wisdom that you want to bestow on our listeners? Anything about life, dating, whatever.
Stay true to yourself.
All right. I love that. Stay true to yourself.
That's right. You've only got yourself. You got one person.
There you go.
It all starts with you. You're in control of yourself.
Yeah.
That's all you got. So make the most of it.
Yes. Yes. Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Make the most of your 2025, you all.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And there are 3 ways that you can submit to the podcast. Again, situationspodcast.com/submit. Or you can email us situationspod@gmail.com. Or, you can call the hotline. It's anonymous, it goes straight to voicemail. 312-586-2664. Goes right to voicemail. No, it's not my personal number. Stop fucking asking me.
Although he is pretty hot, you might want to go out with him. Just saying.
Likewise. She is a smoke show. So slide in her DMs.
No, DM.
I'm just kidding.
Please.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are. But I'm serious. No DM.
Right, exactly. Well, with that, whether you're on a boat, a plane, a train, hey, even if you're one of Melodye's suitors, you could take Situaseans podcast with you wherever you go.
Oh, I love that.
He was like, where is he going with this?
I trust you 100%.
And so, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wait, Google's no longer a thing anymore. Google Podcasts is defunct. It's now YouTube Podcasts, whatever you call it. We're everywhere, so definitely tune in. And I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks.
Beautiful. Yay.